This conference will now be recorded.
And good afternoon to everybody who's taken the time out to join. Thank you for coming over and listening to me today. I'll just try and touch upon why we are talking about cycling in these times and why people seem to be interested in cycling and where I think it is going, and then we can open the floor to see what uh, you guys think of it and uh, where you might need any inputs to move ahead. But one thing is very certain, I would like to tell you all, is cycling is going to have a major role to play in the future of cities. Cities are by characteristic a dense human settlement which focuses on economic activity, which is distinct from a town or a village which has predominantly agricultural activity. So cities are dominated by commerce, cities are dominated by people and interactions. So what we have now with the COVID is abnormal to cities. It is not something that people living in cities can easily absorb or grasp. Uh, so cities, when they are built that way, fortunately, I'm not an urban planner, but urban planners will tell you that cities are built in a way to encourage and foster interactions and human interactions. They are dense, they have co-locations, so people can, trade with each other and people can benefit off of each other's commercial activities uh, and, carry out a livelihood. Uh, but even as that definition challenges the concept of open space, even from the 19th century, urban planning as a profession grew and people started looking at quality of life as a very important part of a city's existence, right? So while we all think about trade and commerce and all that, people living there wanted to have a good time outside of just producing things for people. So quality of life became extremely important, and efficiency of movement and everything was very important. So they started building in green space into denser settlements and started looking at how do you maximize quality of life in cities. Uh, the invention of the bicycle, it used to be called the velocipede, and it's now something that we are going back to. The invention of the bicycle led people to, conquer certain spaces and go easily and quickly. It gave them mobility, it gave them freedom and things like that. They had to rely on animals which would go sick. They had to clean up after themselves. But the cycle was very easy. They had self-control. That is the, if I may jokingly say, the new term as of 8 p.m. What was it, 2 days ago? So they were in their, they were self-reliant or whatever, so they could go around without having to clean up the mess of animals, horse and all those things. That, unfortunately, that changed when the car came into existence. The city started moving differently and the energy consumption started going up and up and up. So shortly, all that changed, and the car culture took over after a while. It was convenient for certain set of people. It increased the ability to travel distances. It increased people's comfort and convenience, as they called it, because they didn't have to put any effort. It went back to animals putting effort, and you just had to sit and turn something and it would go. So your effort, your somatic effort was transferred onto some other vehicle which was doing the effort. And then started the downfall. It started the energy, it needed more energy. The motor vehicle needed a lot of energy. The fossil fuels, it had to burn it. It had to burn more and more efficiently in order to get you more power, more distance, and all of those kind of things, right? So our growth uh, of motor vehicles and energy were correlated with each other. People started using that more and more. What we didn't realize until quite some time ago is that we were breaking the environment, and we didn't believe we were breaking it because you can't see it with your eyes, right? So more and more lately, we are understanding the impact of what that means. The congestion in cities started increasing, and the pollution, the quality of air started decreasing in cities. These are what they call negative externalities. Anything that you do has either a positive externality or it has a negative externality to the environment. So these things started spoiling the air and causing congestion. And the roads that we call common good, when they get congested, it doesn't allow more people to use that space. It disproportionately favors the people who are congesting that space. So if you have somebody who doesn't have a vehicle and would like to use it, he may probably be deprived of a footpath. He may probably be deprived of a means that he can use. So in policy terms, they call it, tragedy of the commons. Every person's personal choice unknowingly has contributed to denying a few people the access to what is called the public road, right? So whether you're right wing, left wing, it doesn't matter. If you are putting in money to build a road, you have to use that efficiently. So we, in our choices that each person's made, we spoiled that, and we started making it mm, disproportionately accessible to motor vehicles. Now the motor vehicle sizes are also growing. There is nothing small. And our obsession with the motor vehicle in India specifically only began, what I think, forget the ambassador and the premier Padmini, I think the Suzuki, Maruti or whatever came in the 82, 84. And after liberalization is when we started having cars. So many different models of cars. So our obsession with the car is only 30, 40 years old. It is not even 100 years old like the Ford Model T, which came in other countries. So we have spoiled so much in a very short time frame because we were leapfrogging in adoption, and we have made our roads in certain cities very congested that our productivity is getting affected. Our trade and commerce, which the city is built for, is getting affected. Correct. And we are also spoiling our health. There are lots of negative externalities, again, which goes back to saying that from a public policy perspective, if you are, I'm assuming some of you here or the Soumya's team would be interested in how public problems can be solved. This is one of the ways in which you cannot allow an investment in commons, in roads, to go waste like this, to allow it to be inefficiently utilized. Efficiency has to be there because every kilometer of road space costs X crores of money, and it has to be used efficiently. And you have to use the most efficient way of using not just the space but also the public good called air for us. Everybody breathes it. When you do something and you spoil the air, it affects the people who are not even participating in that effort. So you're causing more damage to people unwillingly who are not willing to participate. You are spoiling their health as well. So every public policy needs to consider the damage people's choices are doing, and that is how democracy works, which is everybody has the freedom to choose as long as the cost of the negative externalities that you are emitting to other people is paid for in some way, not necessarily in money, it could be in any other way. So encouraging, so this typical negative externality is called a market failure, in the sense that people are making choices which is causing a problem to many people. The state or the government has to step in, the leaders, the politicians, the bureaucracy has to step in and do one of the two things. One is increase the supply to meet demand, or curtail the demand to meet the supply already there. It is very well known that you cannot continuously expand supply. Supply in this case is the road. You can't continue to always expand the road space. You can expand to whatever you think is convenient for accommodating X amount of traffic. We always hear that you can expand this road to meet this amount of traffic, but this amount of traffic will lead to further traffic. It is called the law of induced demand. It is well proven. A lot of people across the world say that the more space you allocate for some mode, the more it gets filled with that mode, because you're encouraging. So you put more footpaths and more cycle tracks, you will encourage more people to come. If you put more roads for vehicles to come, you will encourage more people to come and buy vehicles. So these are incentives that you provide people. So supply, there is a limit to expansion of supply, and it is an ideological choice you have to make. How long can you continue to increase supply? How many roads are it? How many lanes are enough for you to accommodate what? Right? We are on the cusp of saying we will become $5 trillion economy and all those kind of things. It is directly related to how many vehicles people will buy, because the aspirational goals are house and vehicle, motor vehicle, right? People say one more lane, two more lanes, three more lanes. That's what Los Angeles has said. Most of America has got 26, 30 lanes. They are not out of any traffic jam. So they are still having jams or traffic jams everywhere. You cannot solve that problem. So what has been proven is that because of induced demand, there is a limit to how much road expansion and catering to the motor vehicle you can make. So people came back and said, stop focusing on this 1 ton piece of metal called vehicle and start focusing on moving people efficiently for the infrastructure you have put. Every square kilometers on that road space should be efficiently utilized. That is the dharma of anything that you do in public policy. You can't waste it. Why do you give it to wasteful resources? So the concept of looking at people movement instead of vehicle movement started taking shape, and recently many countries have made that move. So when you look at cities, there are predominantly three or four things that come into play. This is called the demand management, not supply management. So you're saying I've given certain amount of supply, it cannot infinitely increase, and even any increase that you do has to be weighed with the consequences. You keep increasing the lanes, you're destroying the businesses on each side and making it only road. When you shut these roads down, you will see how much of wasteful roads we have built. When you go on a cycle, you can see that how much of wasteful roads we have built. Why do we need to so inefficiently use the space? There could have been business, there could have been shop, there could have been livelihoods, there could have been parks built in that space. So these are choices that you will have to make in the city as to how livable you want it to be, how enjoyable you want it to be. Do you want to move vehicles or do you want to move people? So coming to demand management, it boils down to public transport, cycling and walking. Public transport includes trains, buses, and many other things. They move people a lot more efficiently. Cycle and walking is something that is called it falls in the realm of what is called active transport. With the health deteriorating, with us not getting enough nutrition, eating all kinds of food or what we call food, our health is deteriorating a lot. Our sedentary lifestyle, our industrial age has given way to all the technology that we have now, and we are sitting more and more. All this lockdown is only making us sit more rather than get out and do more. What it does is it spoils your health. So active transport has become a means. It's become a double-edged sword. It can, one, make you healthy, and on the other hand, when practiced in the city for movement, you also accomplish your task of doing what you want to do. So if you cycle to work, or if you walk to the grocery, or if you cycle and do your job, it is an active lifestyle. It gives the city a nice feel. It gives people are active, they look at people, they enjoy it. You stop by and the local economies have found to increase in a lot of places. You can stop faster, you don't have to run around, go around in circles looking for a parking lot. You do more when you walk. That is why malls build you like that. They banish the cars down there and let you walk. Otherwise all malls would be drive-ins. They'll just make you, if the argument that the shopkeepers put that only if you come in a car and park right to my shop will you buy from me is false. If that were the case, all malls would have you do drive-ins. That's not what they do. They banish the car somewhere where you don't see and allow you a beautiful walking experience. In larger malls, they even give you small pedelecs to go around. Why do they do that? Because they know that commerce increases when you're active, when you're moving around. Why do they give you carts so you can walk around and shop? Drive-ins are not the way to do. They don't encourage participation. They are for people who think they're very busy. So cycling and walking is now called active transport. And the cities that are focusing on it in small ways have found that their economic activity has increased, engagement between people has also increased, and stress levels and depression and all that has gone down. So it has become a very positive externality. What used to be negative has been converted. Uh, I should also mention that nobody is asking everybody to, only be attached to their bicycle. It would be good if you do, but I'm not even asking you to go to Chennai or Hyderabad on a bicycle. You may have to use your vehicle. But what we have to look for is in all of these things, look at how you can maximally adopt this active lifestyle or an active transport mechanisms in your life. How do you include that? That is what the nudge should be towards from whoever wants to talk about cycling and walking. How do you do that? Every time you step out of the house, you will have choices to make. You will have a motorbike, you'll have a car, you will have a cycle, you'll have walk, you'll have public transport. Think about the trip you need to make and make the right choice which leans towards the active travel as much as possible. That is how you think of your choices. And choice architecture, people are beginning to realize in the world across, is the city is rich when they give you lots of choices to make and not specify only one or two, but they will incentivize the active travel choices more. What this does is it also is a very useful tool for resilience. Now people are talking with COVID, it has become all about resilience, right? How is the city resilient to all these kind of uh, the impact of not just this virus. I believe I've been told there are a lot more viruses waiting for us with global warming, which might come up and hit us. So how do you make this resilience? You've seen now with the migrants taking to walking and cycling that these are the lowest energy forms. They use what you have, the somatic energy that you have, your energy. You don't depend on external. This is the true self-reliance, if you really call it, is that you depend on your energy to move. And cities become resilient. Mexico City during the earthquake used bicycles to rescue people. That's why we still rely on ham radio and bicycles, because the low wavelength, low battery usage, you can still communicate. Bicycles, low minimum transportation, you don't have to fill it with petrol, you don't have to wait for it to charge with some energy network that might be broken. So you're self-reliant. So this is what it boils down to at the bottom. You can be reliant if you have this mode. And bicycles cost less than a cell phone these days, at least less than any of the fancy cell phones. There are fancier bicycles you can upgrade to, but if you want to move around to achieve something, bicycles cost less than a cell phone. You can afford once in 2 years we throw away cell phones. Just need to have a bike. It builds resilience, not just for yourself, into the city. And this is where we are going. This is where cities are going to build resilient cities. They're focusing on active lifestyle. The fact that you will use these modes more often, let me just say that instead of saying all the time, more often, leads you to being healthier and causing less damage to other people. So you not only gain selfishly in health, you are selflessly making the city better off by using these. So it is the dharma of politics and leadership to come and support these kind of activities like active transport. And people are slowly but surely realizing this. When I talk about resilience, I can talk about the relief riders. A bunch of cyclists uh, just gathered when the COVID-19 hit. March 29th was our first sortie. About 75 of us took our cycles out, of course, with all the precautions of wearing a mask and following all the precautions of not um, uh, uh, because our tag, we called ourselves relief riders, and the cyclists delivered medical and groceries to the elderly uh, who are more prone to getting affected by the virus. So we said you can stay at home and we'll deliver. And our tagline was we carry supplies, not the virus. So which means we made sure that we didn't infect and we carried the precautions. But all the time, we've completed almost 1,500 kilometers on the bicycle, delivering supplies to more than 200 elders. This is true resilience. Is that this has been done. It's not unique, but not in India. It's not been done in India, where there have been individuals who have done it, but as a group, this is the first time we came together and did that. New York bike messengers always do that. They carry supplies for fee during normal times, and during these emergency times, uh, they do it for free. They just say, I'll deliver supplies. So this is the first time in India where bicycles have been used to deliver supplies and prove that resilience is possible. And everybody was just happy. Um, And even in that time, it took a long while for the police to say that it is okay to do this and trust us to be able to do this. Uh, we could have been enabled with permissions and cycles. Even today, the Ministry of Home Affairs does not recognize cycling and walking. They give you instructions uh, to say that there can be two people in a car, one person in a vehicle, all kinds of instruction to at the micro level are being given, but a simple thing like encourage walking and cycling, follow social distancing is not being said. During COVID times, it would have been very useful. Uh, uh, I hear that you cannot hear me. Is anybody else having a problem of hearing me? Uh, I'll continue to speak. I'm sorry, I was a little. Soumya, is it okay?
Yeah, yeah. I think I don't think anybody else has a problem.
Okay,
Everyone
fine.
else, yeah.
Okay, so
Many people are
if
saying
you
that
do,
you're audible, and I don't think we have an audio problem.
uh, okay, sorry
Yeah,
about
please
that.
continue.
Um I was saying during COVID times, the recognition of walking and cycling, the active transport modes, as something that can help our city was a very important thing that needed to be done. Uh, all across the world, I'll use this opportunity to say, in fact, London has been going overboard. 2 billion euros up British pounds for walking and cycling. That's the largest ever allocation that has been done. They have closed it. They are claiming, both Sadiq Khan and Will Norman, the cycling commissioner, is saying that it will be the largest ever closure of streets in the city center that will be done. Paris is doing 650 kilometers of cycle tracks. They're converting some of their bus lanes into cycle tracks for a little while that public transport becomes safer. New York, the worst affected city in the world, is saying 100 miles of, Bill de Blasio is committed to at least 100 miles of bicycle tracks in a city which is car oriented, or in a country which talks about the car and the industry and all that. Even they are going active transport. We have not heard anything from anyone in this country, not even a mention of walking and cycling and active transport. Forget about anything, at least for your health. People are, why people are closing streets? Because it is essential in our country. For most people come up with these excuses that no, 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 they are Europeans, they have less population. And I'm saying, because we have, remember the efficiency thing that I said initially, because we have more people, we should be more efficient in using our road space. So it's actually the flip. It's not because we have less people. In fact, they can afford to not use their space more efficiently, but they choose to. Because we are very much more people, we need to use our road space more efficiently. And that is the argument for this, which means, especially because India is characterized by lack of footpaths. Don't confuse the drain cover to be a footpath. It's just a drain cover. We can't glorify that to be a footpath. They just had a drain and they just covered it with slabs and they call it a footpath. It's not that. It has to be, in fact, the footpath budget has to be 4 times or 3 times more than a road budget. If a road costs 1 crore a kilometer to asphalt, the footpath costs 3 crore more, and the cycle track 2 crore more. That's 5 crores more for footpath and cycle tracks than a piece of asphalt that you put in, because there are utilities, there are ducting, there are street furniture, there are lights, there are vendors, there are people, there are slabs, there are trees, there are many things. So 6 to 7 extra things are there in the footpath that needs to be taken care of. It's not as simple as pour black color things and then go away. So there are the cost for per kilometer of road includes 5 crores of cycling and walking and 1 crore of asphalt. Today we are only talking about that, asphalt as the road. So the cost needs to 5 times. So people say, no, 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 the road becomes expensive. Yes, it is, because the footpath and cycle tracks are more complicated. It actually caters to people, their movement, their walking, their sitting, their lights, their shade, their trees, their utilities, the seating, the toilets, the water spots, the businesses ingress and egress. So many things are there on a footpath and a cycle track. So it's important to cost it appropriately. I don't know why I segued to this, but I was just trying to tell you that we need to start focusing more and more. The reason I told you that is the drain covers are very small, right? So you can't expect people to walk on drain covers in shopping streets, main streets. So what other countries are doing is opening up heavily shopping streets, the main streets, kind of like our I don't know which parts of Bangalore you're from, but Gandhi Bazaar, 8th Cross Malleshwaram, places like that where you just block it off for people. So give them the physical spacing that is required, allow cycling and walking so that people can move around more nicely, and then you get the safety. We don't seem to understand that concept. We don't seem to understand why we are doing these things, why other countries are doing these things. We need to understand that it's for efficiency, it's for safety, it's for resilience, it's all the good things that are required. So I'll briefly touch upon something that I have seen in the government so far, and then we can open it up for questions. Uh, like I said, why the government should get involved? Because congestion and pollution are unwittingly being forced on people who don't wish to participate in that, and the people who have participated in congesting and polluting are not paying a price for doing this to others, in killing people on the road when they drive fast, hurting people, and congesting the roads, buying heavier and bigger vehicles. There is no consequence. The cost that is only incurred by them seems to be the petrol cost and the maintenance cost, which they can count as money. The external costs are not counted and are not quantified. It is one of the things in public policy is that these kind of unintended consequences, now it almost seems intended. You seem to deliberately want to buy a large vehicle and use it. It's not about owning the vehicle, it is about using the vehicles inappropriately. If you have a large vehicle, yes, maybe you want to go off-roading sometime, but you seem to want to use it during peak hour on outer ring road just to carry yourself alone to the office, which is a repeated trip which could be catered to by some other mode. So the choices you're making, we are making as citizens, should be uh, looked at a little more carefully. Uh, in the government, there seems to be a reluctance to appreciate active transport. Let us just not call it reluctance, let's just call it for what it is, a lack of leadership. Leadership is about setting the way forward. In this political system, these outcomes do not lead to votes. If you make a road perfectly nice, if you make a park, if you make walking tracks, if you make cycling tracks, nobody believes that it is going to get them to victory the next time. They'll give you hundreds of excuses as how, oh, we did this, it didn't work, we did that, nobody paid attention. Only caste politics and other things seems to work. Until such time that our political system makes it important enough uh, to pay attention to these things, and that is something that we the people need to work on amongst each other, uh, and see how we can bring attention to these active transport modes uh, as a priority for the city governments to look at. They don't seem to think it is, because none of us cyclists hang around with Anshoda asking for cycle tracks or whatever it may. Cycle tracks are just a symbol. I'll give you one statistics just to make sure that we are not hung up on cycle tracks as an infrastructure, because I hear this all the time. People seem to say that put the cycle track, then I will take out my cycle. Uh, I'll just touch upon that before we come to. One of the things you need to understand is Bangalore has around 12 to 13,000 kilometers of roads uh, within the BBMP area, which is 736 square kilometers. The comprehensive mobility plan, for example, focused on 1,600 square kilometers. That is more than double of our BBMP area. And if you look at the BD area, that's about 1,080 square kilometers. And the Bangalore metropolitan area is almost 1,600 square kilometers, 1,600 to 1,800. The BMRD area is 8,000 square kilometers. But anyway, so for inside BBMP, there are 12,000 to 13,000 kilometers of road, of which there's something called major roads. These are arterial and subarterial roads. They're classified by width. We don't have functional classification. We do width classification, which are 15 meters and higher. With 2,000 out of 12,000 is approximately 16 to 18%. So only these kind of roads are capable of taking segregated 2.5 meter cycle track, walking pace, and 1.5 meter cycle track, which is almost um, for 5 meters. So on both sides, 10 meters, and then you get some. That's sorry, 2.5, 3, 4, 4 plus 4, 8 plus another 7. So 15 meters you need. for proper cycle track, footpaths, and all these things. So let's assume only 16% of Bangalore will get right now segregated cycle tracks. So 2,000 kilometers. If you build cycle tracks and footpaths at 200 kilometers a year, it will take you 10 years, 2030, till you finish 2,000 kilometers. At 200 kilometers a year, we don't even do 2 kilometers a year. So imagine the uphill task. If you say that I will only cycle when all the cycle tracks are done, you will start only in 2030. And for all practical purposes, that 2,000 kilometers is not next to your house. It's on arterial roads. You don't live on an arterial road generally. You live on local streets and collector streets. So if you, there are two fallacies in doing this. It will provide some safety on high speed corridors. That is why I continue to focus on getting that. Speed and junctions are the only safety issues for cyclists, not on ordinary roads. So when we talk about government action, while they'll give you roads, please also think through this aspect of saying that let's not wait for cycle tracks to start riding. You'll never get there if you do that. Start riding. Shared streets are something that other countries are also doing, which means we traffic calm the neighborhood. When vehicles are going at 25-30 kilometers per hour, the chances of fatalities, even if you do get hit, are very low. It has been proven that it is 80% more when the traffic speed doubles to 50 or 60 kilometers per hour. So slower traffic is always good. That is why when people say the roads are congested, I'll be unsafe. No, if the roads are congested, you're actually more safer. When the roads are not congested, traffic is going faster. And even if one of you makes a mistake, you're bound to, fatalities are bound to be higher. So when you go out in the morning for exercising and say, oh, the roads are free and I like it that way. Yes, we all like the roads that way. But imagine that somebody comes in here. So safety is not a function of how congested it is. Unsafety is a function of how much emptier the street is and cars are moving faster. So congested roads, if you find it, you will move faster than the vehicles. The average speed in Bangalore is about 8 or 9. You will be traveling at least 15 to 16, and most people do faster. So you will reach faster. My travel time has always been 1 hour for 20 kilometers. In car, it can be anywhere between 1 to 2.5 hours, depending on one drizzle or whatever it might be that holds people up, or a VIP. So cycling is the future. Let me leave it at that. On the governance side, again, I continue to say that while we push for cycle tracks for high speed roads just to keep us safe, physically segregated, most of the roads are already amenable to cycling. We need to show up in numbers. My call to action now is to get more and more people. I request all of you, we are having a campaign called Reset with Cycling. Me and Dr. Ravindra just started it, but it is for the people of Bangalore. What we are saying is during this COVID times, we have all seen what clean air looks like, what traffic free roads look like, and we also see that the roads are more than enough for moving people around, and we don't really need too much more. How do you keep them? Because during normal times, our cry has always been, we should remove traffic congestion, we should remove pollution. We ask for a lot of things. We got it now, we have it now. Let us not let it go away. Let's hold on to as much as we can. I know you can't hold on to 100%, but the point is you need to reset this thinking. We don't go back to the old normal, we reset to a new normal, which includes holding on to as much gains as we can. And one of the ways we do that is get more and more people out on the road. So we are asking for Reset with Cycling to hold on to the gains that we have made in congestion and pollution and see how we can do that. So Reset with Cycling. So if you guys are doing anything around cycling or are interested, please get on a bicycle, use social media. All kinds of nonsense goes on there. Please use it for good purposes. Don't hesitate. Go out there and post cycling pictures and videos, and hashtag Reset with Cycling. I've also got a challenge going. You post 10 pictures in 10 days of cycling and tag more people so that more and more people get on. Visibly, we have to show a lot of people on the road. The government will listen at some point, but we need to put the pressure. I think each of you have in it to become the leaders to make this happen. Some of you may already be converted. Some of you may be looking at this as a thing that is useful, but I think you guys need to just see how you can inspire more people to take up cycling. It is the future of transportation in this city. I will take questions now. I'm reading the chat. Does tender shore concept introduced in Bengaluru help cycling? It does help walking, Tendersure as a concept did appear quite expensive, and they were knocking off the trees, unfortunately, because it came in the way of ducting. They insisted on wiring and ducting on the footpath. We had offered an alternative that put the wiring on the road, ducting on the road, so that the trees can survive, because the wiring needs straight, otherwise the roots will kind of get in the way of the wiring and spoil it. And you can't have you can't have bends in ducting. So I said, use the road, they are straight enough. But they insist on putting it on the footpath. That's the only problem I have with Tendersure, because they knock off the trees because of the ducting. But otherwise, the quality seems to be good, and they seem to learn a lesson on how to allocate. The cycle tracks on Tendersure Road are mixed with the traffic, because it was too radical for them to think of a separate cycle track. They didn't seem to think that there were enough cyclists, and of course, the people in the government say that no, let's just do walking. There are not enough cyclists, it will not get used. And true enough, the way it is designed, it is not worth going. I might as well ride on the road. But it's a good walking path. If they fix the ducting issue and move it to the road, we should be okay. Because everybody seems to think that if you put it on the road, the traffic will be destroyed when you have to repair. I say, when you put it on the footpath, walkers are being disrupted. Why doesn't that ever occur to you as a problem? Let the traffic be a little less, then you'll at least fix it faster because you want to go. So I think then the tweaking of the mindset needs to be a little different. It doesn't help cycling much, but at least it is there. We can claim that Tendersure roads can take cycling. Knowing Bangalore's current infrastructure for active transport at policy level, how do you think we can sort of overall the existing traffic system? So metropolitan, because right now arterial roads are not fit for cycling. Yeah, so uneven and bumpy roads are a problem for most people. What appears bumpy for cyclists is not even bumpy for some large vehicles. They just go over them like anything. So I just was coming from the airport yesterday, and those rumble strips, my all my stuff from the cycle started flying off. My lights went boom, and my bottle fell off the cage. So we are not thinking about a cyclist at all when we are building anything. I had friends like Ashok who just fell off on a. We are hurting ourselves on bad roads more than we are hurting ourselves with traffic. So traffic is leaving us alone. Even on the highways, the lorry drivers say hi and move aside. But our roads are so bad that they are horrible. So I think the mentality of making the roads is meant for cars and heavy vehicles. It is not meant for cycles at all, unless the attitude also changes that cyclists belong here and can exist. Then yesterday when I was coming from the airport, the road was completely empty. They are not allowing cyclists to go on that. They said no. The two cops who told me, can I go on this empty stretch? He said, no, go with the traffic. So they consider us a traffic. So in fact, that's one of the things that the cyclists don't know where they belong. You go on the footpath, pedestrian says go to the road. You go on the road, the motor vehicles say no, go on the footpath. So we are this Trishanku land of not knowing where we hold. Singapore has an answer for that. They allow you to cycle both on the footpath and on the road. On the road, when you're going, you go like traffic, no speed limits. The same traffic speed limits apply. You have to wear a helmet, and you can go as fast as you can as per the traffic laws. But when you're on the footpath, you have to go less than 10 kilometers per hour, and helmet is not mandatory, and you have to follow courtesy. Like you can't ride fast. So they have solved the problem of saying you are a pedestrian, you are traffic also, and you behave like each other where you are. If you share the traffic road, behave like traffic. If you share the pedestrian thing, behave like a pedestrian. You can even walk with your cycle across. So that is how they are doing that. How do we encourage office goers who have to carry their laptop, lunch bags to take up cycling? So I do that. I do commute to work. So I have this website called cycle2.work. If you go to that site, I have tabulated how many people are going to work. Not everybody is on it, of course. A lot of people don't track the rides, but those who do are supporting this cause of cycle to work. A lot of people just put it in a backpack. You can easily carry it in the backpack. That's what backpacks are for. We have a lot of brands of backpacks. Just put them on. You can even get panniers. They're called panniers on the carriers. You on the cycle carrier, you have bags that hang off like the scooter ones where you can put your laptop and all of those things. If you're not comfortable, use it on a backpack. If you sweat a lot, put it in a pannier. There are lots of solutions out there that you can use. Yes, Jagdish says you can use panniers. So I agree with Mr. Kamath. The main issue is not having sufficient space. I would like to talk about this issue of space. It's when you say there is no space, it is exactly what you say. They actually allocate first the space for the cars, and then whatever is remaining is expected to be for ancillary uses. If today I went and talked about the CMP also, they say no, no, minimum we need 4 lanes. After that, you do whatever you want. So 15-meter roads are not being given. They come in the planet, the authorities, government comes in and says, no, we'll do it only in 18-meter roads, which even reduces 2000 to 1000, I think, on fast traffic. So I think it is important for us to insist and understand that accommodating cars is not necessary or mandatory. It is not a right. Let us please go back, and when we talk to people, understand that it is not necessary to accommodate for cars. It is important for us to take road space away from cars. It's one thing to incentivize people. I talked about the cost nobody is bearing for using their car. Letting go of the space is a cost you have to bear when you're using a car. Staying in traffic, congested traffic, is the cost you have to bear while using the car. Let us get it through to everybody that this is the cost you pay for being in the car. If there is no disincentive, only incentives for cycles like putting lanes and all that is just not sufficient enough. You need to have disincentives also, carrot and stick. You can give the carrot, but if you're afraid of wielding the stick, you and I can't wield the stick. My cycle to work is a carrot, so we all collectively go and say, let's do cycle to work, right? But the stick is very, very important. You have to take lanes away from the car and say, we are not going to give you all the demand that you need or think you need. We are going to curtail the demand, and we are going to make you move into far more efficient modes into active transport. So we have to accept that car space need to be taken away. How many ever of it needs to be taken away for say 1.5 meters? It's only as big as a tire, or maybe 2 tires. That's all. 1.5 meters is all it takes for a cycle. If you think that that 1.5 meters is needed for the car, tell me what part of the car is going to go in that 1.5 meters? Nothing. You will get one tire in that. You're not going to get a lane. A lane is 3.5 meters. If you're not getting 3.5 meters, why do you need 1.5 meters? Give it away to somebody else. Give it away to a walker or pedestrian, or give it away to a cyclist. Learn to give 4 meters of space away in every road. If you don't have it, it should be taken from the carriageway lane. If you don't have the guts to do that, we really don't believe in active transport. If the leadership, or if you're in any kind of leadership position, if you don't have the guts to say this is going away, that means you don't care for it enough. If you care for it enough, you will take it away, and you will find ways to go and talk to them and say, why are you even there? So that is how we need to think of this, in my opinion. Even traffic analysis, Mr. Kamath, I would tell you, is called PCU, passenger car unit. The whole traffic is skewed to count traffic. Nobody counts people. Nobody counts people walking. Have you ever heard of counting walking for in urban planning or transport planning sector? Nobody counts. In fact, Jan Gehl went and counted people on the road, said that look, so many people are walking on the road. So we need to start counting cyclists, and we need to have more cyclists. Counting alone is not there. This is like saying, uh, depending on how many people swim across the river, we'll put the bridge. They are not swimming across the river because they don't have a bridge. If you put a bridge, even those who are not swimming will take the bridge and walk across the river. So you cannot determine the feasibility of a bridge by the number of people who swim across the river. So it's important for us to show leadership in putting the right infrastructure in place, at least shared streets. So regarding buses and metros, we have talked to the metro. They are insisting that the cycle needs to go through the baggage scanner. For some reason, they think everybody is waiting to only blow up the metro and not anything else. So if it goes, only folding bicycles of certain makes are going into the baggage scanner. I myself have not. I've taken it a few times. I like it. I like taking it in the bus. I always go in the Volvo bus. In the back, they have this stroller space where you can keep a folding bicycle and go. I think Shika ma'am is also interested in helping with cycling. Last mile can definitely be used if you cannot take the cycle on the metro. We are also a populated country. Chennai has allowed cycles in the metro, but if I spoke to the metro people here, they said, yeah, but there's nobody traveling on Chennai metro, so you can afford to do that. I have seen when I carried my cycle on a metro, people were like very jostling for space and it started kind of interfering. So unless we have a separate space for cyclists to come and take their cycles, it will be difficult in the metro, and cycles can be a little big as well. Folding cycles are usable. Last mile is also usable. The shared cycles, the Ulu types, which you can use, that is something that we can promote, so that that and folding will definitely work. The kind of people and efficiencies we are moving towards public transport, we need double the number of buses. We need suburban train systems which can easily take all these cycles. They are large. Suburban trains are large carriers. They are broad gauge. They are not standard gauge like the metro. They have bigger carriers, and you can have compartments for cycles. It's there in Copenhagen. If you go in the DSB trains, they have huge compartments where you can just go and park your cycle and sit on the other side. All that is possible in suburban train system, which is being stuck. If you have that kind of mass transport, people in Tumkur, Dodlapur, Chikballapur, Hosur, Anekal, and on Mysore road, Mysore side, everybody can come, bring their cycles, cycle around here, and go back as well. So the suburban rail system should have provisions and cars for cycling as well. So buses, if you have a folding bicycle, I think you can already take it. The conductor is very happy that I bring a small folding cycle, put it in, and then go. It helps me with my 2 kilometers this side and 3 kilometers on the other side. So it is very simple. I don't know about the big cycles. I can have a chat with the bus guys. I'm not too confident of taking this thing on a metro. Just they don't even have stairs proper. One side is escalator, and then the other side is all stairs. I have to go, so it's just confusing. And on MG road, for example, one side the staircase is very small, and in peak hour there are a lot of people going. It just become a mess with your cycle. You'll just waste a lot of time getting into that metro with your cycle. It's just not worth it. Are we out of time? Yes, Mr.
Are there more questions?
Newer brands and models are good to buy. Is that a question, Mr. Sava? I don't know. Yeah, I agree with Pramod. I feel more cyclists on the road could force the authorities. It is very, very important that we need more cyclists on the road. So the reset with cycling is something that you guys should try out. You need to have more people on the road, get more of your friends on the road. Try out cycling. It's very simple. Just go short distances, make some choices, and get more people. Now is the time. Hold on to the gains. Don't leave this COVID thing. It's not worth letting go of what we have. We've gained it. After you go back to the old normal, then again you'll come back and say, oh, we have to reduce pollution, we have to reduce congestion. Well, you had it and you let go. It's on our head if we let go now. Then we'll all be trying to claw back. Yeah, short distance cycling is very useful, sir. Yeah, that's thing as well. Thank you very much for your time. Is there anything else? Just
Yes.
let me know.
Thank you. That was a very stimulating talk. I hope it puts more people on the road on a cycle, as you said. If there are no further questions, shall we thank Satya and close? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Bye.
coming on. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Sathya. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Great session. Thank you, Satya.